Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Brothers Take podcast. I'm Chris. I'm joined once again by my brothers, Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
And we are back in the room this week to finally catch up on all the reveals from San Diego Comic-Con. Well, not all the reveals, but we're going to give our take on the highlights and maybe some other stuff that stood out for whatever reason stood out. And we're also going to give our take on some news around GTA 6, which leaked during the week. Which I think, like when last time we spoke about Grand Theft Auto, we actually had some speculations about where they might go, and it sounds like that's what they're doing, which is great. So we predicted it. No, I'm only joking. But we'd love to hear from you guys as well on anything that we bring up and also anything that we don't. There might be stuff from San Diego Comic-Con that was your personal highlight that we don't bring up that you might want to talk about. So if you watch this YouTube, jump down in the comments to share your thoughts and why you're hearing it. Why not give the discussion a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell for all future content. And you can also touch base with us on audio platforms. What am I talking about? What the fuck?
You create a podcast. You ask your questions. We'll go listen to it. We'll come back to you with our podcast.
That's clearly an intro that I've done too many times. I've stopped thinking about it, and I've just crossed all my wires. You can get in touch with us by using Spotify. Is basically what I said. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry. If you are listening to us on audio platforms, then you can touch base with us on social media. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take. Apologies for the big fuck up there. But we're also going to have timestamps in the description on both. If you want to skip ahead to any part of the discussion that you're particularly interested in. So if you want to jump into the gaming stuff this later, you can jump over there. Or if you're just here for the San Diego Comic-Con stuff and all those highlights, then you can jump to that part too. But without further ado, and without any more fuck-ups from me, let's get this intro rolling. Okay, where do we want to start? Will we start with, what the biggest highlight from San Diego Comic-Con? Come on. Has
For
to be.
us was
No Superman.
no.
Oh, you want to start there? That's a low. Okay,
I think that's the biggest highlight.
No Superman is the highlight. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
How is that a highlight?
Well, it definitely garnered the most attention, I think, didn't it?
Well,
That
from
does
a
not
certain
mean it's a highlight.
yeah, but that's from
That
a
was
certain
a-
sect of people that are like mostly bots anyway. So
Okay, I suppose. Okay, well, in a fair follow-up then to our last episode, where I suppose we were speculating whether we'd have good news or not. Okay, how do you feel about the lack thereof of a Henry Cavill appearance or any announcement around Superman?
It was very disappointing, obviously, but it almost seemed too good to be true in the first place. I was like,
I'm
I
pretty sure
can't
I-
see them doing that, and then they didn't. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a damn thing to do.
I'm pretty sure I said that they wouldn't do that. So
Yeah, you were on the ball. I actually had a bit of faith that they would, because I just thought, I was like, I mean, the like go-to thing at the moment is give the fans what they want.
Yeah.
And they will come, So it's weird to me that, but and then something came out that was like, well, he actually got COVID, and maybe that's why he wasn't there. And I'm like, there was no like gap where he should have been there, and they like just filled it in with something else.
They would have just.
And they would have
shared
just
video.
announced it in some way anyway. They would have done a
Yeah.
video. They would have put up something on a screen.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the reason.
No.
Plus, I think he was diagnosed with COVID the day after the DC panel. So, or the DC announcements and stuff. But I suppose speaking on that, then all the kind of DC stuff first. What the fuck
That was
are they doing?
It was 2 movies, wasn't it? Was it 2 movies? There was
Yeah,
nothing
but
else,
like,
was it?
I don't know. No, it's like they had nothing to show really, though.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
wonder if they're like. Do you remember the times
did we
when in E3, for example, not that PlayStation had nothing to show, but remember there was that one E3 where it was like they just had 4 games, and they made a huge spectacle out of just 4 games. I think it
Right.
was just 4 games. I think it was like God of War. Was it? And Ghost of Tsushima.
I don't remember this particular one, but
They had like
it's possible.
remember
Like,
they had
where
like
they just show lots of gameplay and stuff.
no, they just had. Remember, it was like the guy came out and he was playing the kind of, I don't know, it's like the Japanese flute thingy, and then for the God of War one, they had people like literally, was it God of War, I think, where they had people hanging on stage.
That was Days Gone.
Oh, that was Days Gone. Yeah, that was it. Right, so they
right,
had
right. I remember. Yeah.
it was just 4 games, but it was like this really, and then the Last of Us thing was just like they were over in a tent, which is in a different venue, and then they came over to the
That's right.
actual one, and it was a bit like, I think that wasn't that their last appearance or something at E3.
At E3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Bear McCreary and
Yes.
his they played the theme of God of War live.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think everyone felt a bit like, I mean, cool and all, but the hell. And I'm getting a little bit of that with this DC thing, that I'm wondering if, because they have the DC fandom thing, that they're
holding off.
stuff for that they don't want to necessarily show too much. But then it's like, why show it all then?
Yeah, it's that thing of like, I suppose the PlayStation thing is a good comparison, because it's like, right, if you're not going to do E3 and then just do your PlayStation experiences or your state of plays that you're in full control of. But I just thought it was weird. I know there's a lot of weird shit happening behind the scenes, and they have a lot of fucking figuring out to do. But to see nothing of Aquaman 2 or The Flash, which would be their bigger movies, I would think. You know, and I know there's shit there that
and
still needs to be sorted, and there's
since
worries
then
about
news,
excitement. And since then, there's been news, but why wasn't that news? Like, it was only a couple of days later. Why wasn't that news at that?
Well, I imagine they didn't really have maybe figure it out just yet. And I mean, it hasn't been announced necessarily that the Flash has been delayed.
No, I know that. Well, it has been delayed to to next year.
Yeah, and it hasn't. But that was supposed to come out before Aquaman.
It was, which has also been delayed.
Yes, but it's been delayed because now supposedly Michael Keaton's Batman is being reshot with Ben Affleck's instead.
In which, The Flash or Aquaman?
Aquaman.
I didn't know Michael Keaton's Batman was going to be an Aquaman.
Supposedly,
but now I know that Ben Affleck is.
Supposedly the plan was that The Flash comes out, which was, let's use this movie as some sort of reset button, and Michael Keaton will now be the DCU Batman. And
okay.
Right, so that was supposed to be the idea. So then in Aquaman, which would come out after that, Michael Keaton's Batman would be making an appearance in it. I don't know whether it's as Batman or Bruce Wayne, one of the two. But now that they have to delay The Flash for reasons, they are bringing Aquaman out before that, but then it wouldn't make sense to have the Keaton Batman in that without the explanation as to how that is the case. Ben Affleck is now... They seem to be shooting new scenes where they're having the Ben Affleck Batman in that one instead. That's not fully been announced either. It was more kind of it's kind of announced, but
it is announced.
Yeah, but it's not like from an official source announced.
Well, I think Jason Momoa said it.
Yes, but
I mean, how more official could you get than that? He's Aquaman.
Yeah, I think if it came directly from the director or from the studio executives, because like,
what if Ben Affleck said it? Would it be like, I don't believe you?
No, it's not to do with that, because like literally anything could happen and they could scrap the scene.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So therefore,
I know. Yeah.
So yeah, they're kind of shifting. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, are they going to end up refilming shit in The Flash now, or are they going to actually scrap that project, or like I don't know.
The whole Flash thing is interesting because they can't scrap that. They have spent so much money on it, but it's also fucked. Because it's all built around, like the Aquaman thing is an easier fix. 100%, it's an easier fix. It might still be a complicated one because obviously Mira is an important character in the Aquaman mythos. But there's no way she has as much screen time, say, as Aquaman himself. If Aquaman himself was the issue, then suddenly Aquaman 2 is in big fucking trouble. So with The Flash, it's like, not only have they spent a fortune on it and reshooting it and delaying it and everything, all before all this other awful shit was happening, but now it's like they've got like the biggest fucking publicity like issue here with the lead actor who plays multiple versions of himself in the movie. So it's not even just like I don't know, like it's I don't know how you fix that, but I'd say they're sitting there. like literally pulling their hair out, figuring out what to do with the Flash. And I think I don't even know if it would be better for them to just cut their losses and go, that's it. But we'll just stop the Flash, don't put it out, and we lost all that money. Or is it better to just hope you can salvage it with something else that makes people want to see it? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
just the way they're
like
talking.
the Ben Affleck thing with Aquaman. It's like now people might go see Aquaman because they're like, oh, Ben Affleck's back as Batman.
Yeah,
and that becomes the new talking point rather than I'm not going to see that because that fucking.
I mean, it blew
Amber Heard
up
one, right?
On Twitter. Like people are very,
Right.
they're actually really excited about that announcement.
So what's the key? I think Henry Cavill in the
Yeah,
Flash.
but that's what's
Henry
the-
Cavill in the Flash.
Yeah,
that would be the thing to do.
yeah. Just the way it's all so up in the air. Like I mean, and based off of DC panel at the con, it's like they have the Shazam movie that was announced and the Black Adam movie was announced, and the way The Rock was talking, like he got booed actually.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
But I don't know why.
Well, it was the discussion around the whole Superman thing, right? Because it was like, I think he was teasing that, that Henry will be the Superman that he would go up against. That was my interpretation of it, but I don't think that's how other people interpreted it. It sounded as if like they're actually kind of unsure of who the Superman will be.
I didn't think they were booing The Rock.
All right.
My impression of that was that they were booing Warner Brothers,
right, for not bringing it out
for what The Rock was saying.
right.
When The Rock said that depends on who's playing Superman.
Yeah,
I
okay.
got the impression that the boo was and I know, and then
a
all the
boo
headlines
with him
went,
rather than a
The
boo
Rock,
at him.
yeah,
yeah,
that's what I thought. All the headlines were the Rock got booed, but it's like I don't know if that's the way it was really. I actually think it was people booing the fact that it's like,
Why is
we
he saying
shouldn't
this?
even.
This should be a
we
conversation.
It shouldn't even be a question of who's Superman.
Yeah.
Like, Henry Cavill should 100% still be Superman.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably a correct assessment of that situation.
I'd say that would have been a somewhat worrying moment for The Rock, because I'd imagine The Rock doesn't get booed very often when he's saying things.
No,
because he's a hype man. Like he hypes things.
I think in the moment if you watch it, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not phased by it at all.
No, he's
so
smiling and stuff. So
I think he's all with it, and plus, this guy comes from wrestling. You know what I mean? This guy is used to this kind of hype man shit and this kind of like talk shit and all this. You know what I mean?
I can imagine he got off that stage then with the Warner Bros. People went,
there you go.
They want Cavill. Bring back Cavill, or I'm going to give you a wedgie.
I would 100% say he is like fighting for that. He wants that. Like, without literally like saying it out loud, he has pretty much been like pushing for a.
Well, it's really strange.
Black Adam versus Henry Cavill Superman.
Like the Shazam trailer, right?
Oh god,
because it looks brutal. But in that trailer,
brutally amazing, guys. What are you talking about?
They have
so
clips from what looked like the Zack Snyder Justice League in that trailer,
right?
Oh sure,
and it's like okay, so now that's canon, I guess, and that's part of that universe. But then the directors were supposedly saying that they never really thought about it, and there's no real kind of conversation about Black Adam going against Shazam at some point in the future.
That's weird to me.
Isn't that like that? Like, so now you have two films with two characters that are definitely in the same universe. And they have completely different tones.
Mm-hmm.
And the possibility that they'll never actually come into contact with each other. And then you have the whole thing with the Flash, and you've got the replacements for we've got two different Batmans now apparently, and it's just
3.
It's an absolute fucking mess. Well, the Pattinson Batman thing is very clearly that's a standalone. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great.
Isn't that and then you got Joker 2 coming, right?
Yeah.
And isn't it strange how in a world where everything seems to be connected nowadays, they're like the cleanest and nobody has any questions about those?
I would like those two connected though, personally. But
I know. Like it would be lovely to see Robert Pattinson on screen with Joaquin Phoenix, only because of the type of performances that they give, not because everything needs to be connected. But genuinely, it's like I'd love that Joker in that Batman. Like that would be beautiful. But
Yeah.
Well, they're
Um,
both very gritty, so like they both fit together.
Yeah, even
Like they're
having
both
him
very
talk
dirty
to
guy. Yeah.
that penguin and stuff like that, like it's just
Hmm.
they're very
yeah.
grounded.
Plus like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker is just amazing.
Yeah, very
Absolutely
close to
amazing.
probably being the best DC film ever made. I think I actually prefer that over the
Joker?
Batman.
As a movie, it probably is a better movie.
Yeah,
It's a tighter and cleaner
Yeah.
experience, I think. But anyway, Eric, did you like the Black Adam trailer or the Shazam trailer?
Shazam trailer, I mean, just kind of looks more like Shazam, so it fits in with that kind of tone of the first one, I think. So if you liked that, you'll like this one. Me personally, there's just a lot of superhero movies now. It's kind of all
Sure.
looking the same to me.
Yeah.
The CGI looks a bit more finished though with these two ones.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think so.
in
but-
comparison
well, I
to
mean-
last Shazam, you mean?
Oh,
Well, not just that, just in comparison to other recent superhero movies. Like, it doesn't really look like they're going to be on a rooftop in New York and it's going to be really badly CGI.
right. No, I get you.
There's
But, like,
there's
you
there's
are-
a couple.
I don't
of
know. I'm not
clips
saying the
in there.
CGI is amazing.
No, I know.
That's like
You
the
just-
CGI.
You're picking out like the worst example of.
But there is a clip there where it's like, oh my god, that is clear green screen. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Actually, when I watched The Grey Man last night, that's got some dodgy CGI in it too.
Mm.
Like CGI really is down to timing.
Yeah.
Issues really.
I thought the
Software.
Black Adam trailer probably.
I think
thought-
it was the superior trailer.
Yeah, I think the CGI in that, and I don't know whether
It's a
that's
little
just because I don't know. I'm a sucker. Like, I really like the desaturated look.
Yeah,
Personally,
yeah,
I'm not into
yeah.
the bright colors and all that shit.
It does look a little bit more Snyder-esque.
It does.
The Black Adam stuff.
The tone of it, I certainly prefer, and I think it probably suits the character as well.
Yeah.
But the CGI is like, there's something about if you desaturate it like everything kind of works together a bit better. Like the CGI is not that obvious, and it kind of
I think I have no interest in seeing Shazam, and Black Adam. I probably would have an interest in seeing Black Adam. I
Just
don't
for
know
Dr.
if I.
Fate, though.
Yeah, well, that I think Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate is pretty cool,
Yeah.
but I
would
don't
actually go see
know
that
if
movie
it's a
just for that.
cinema watch for me but I will get around to watching it. But I do think that when you hear The Rock talk about it, he talks up a better movie than
Oh,
it's
for
probably
sure.
going to be.
Yeah. This might be
Yeah,
as
but-
good as the Scorpion King.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like,
Jesus.
with all of his movies, he talks up. Like, he could probably talk up, like, the Jumanji movies. And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
That
I've
fucking
never
sounds
seen.
amazing.
Like, I actually have never.
I've seen that first Jumanji movie. that they did.
I watched it too, but I've never seen a movie with The Rock in it that's actually brilliant.
No, but I like The Rock. I have to say, like, he's very charismatic.
Hmm.
And I do enjoy. And that's just come out, hasn't it? The DC League of Super Pets or something.
Right, yeah.
I do love The Rock and Kevin Hart together. I think it's
Yeah.
an unlikely duo, but it's a really, really enjoyable kind of friendship that they seem
It's
to
like
have.
the action Ant and Deck.
They were they were on what was it? They were doing an interview recently for that new movie, the animated one, and the interviewer asked asked The Rock, like, I heard you're after buying your grandma a house, or was it his grandma or his ma? I think she said grandma house, and he's like, yeah, I did, yeah, and Kevin Hart's like, oh, good for you, oh, you're after making millions of dollars, you finally bought her a house. And he kind of he was like, don't congratulate him for that. Don't congratulate him.
That's good.
And no, it is good. And they did an agree to disagree, and that's worth watching on YouTube.
Yeah, I've
It's very
seen that
funny.
one.
Yeah,
That's fine.
they're gassed again.
They are
But
good.
anyway, I suppose on the other side of things, then, for San Diego Comic-Con, the other side of the coin there is Marvel.
It's funny that
Just
those two are
announced
together
everything.
though on the same day, isn't it? It's like,
Well,
like clearly a head-to-head,
realistically,
isn't it?
it's not just that though. Like, realistically, they are aimed at
the same
a
audience.
very similar
Yeah.
fan base,
Are they though?
and in many cases, the same audience. Yeah,
I
in
think
many
DC
cases.
wants the same audience. I don't know if they have the same audience. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
But like,
a lot of,
The-
I don't know if many Marvel fans necessarily really like the DC movies. Like those who say they like the first Shazam, it's like, do you like it just because it's different, or do you genuinely like it?
sure. But I think there's you've got your Marvel fans and your DC fans, and then in the middle somewhere you've got superhero fans or something, or like just people. There might not even be fully clear on who's who or what's what, and they're just like, "Oh, I love those superhero movies, so I go see them."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're not even that privy to is Shazam DC or Marvel? I don't know. I wait till I see the logo at the start, but I've just got to see it's a new superhero movie, you know?
Yeah.
But fucking hell, Marvel laid out their big plan, Phase 5 and 6, and I think that's a direct response to
what the fuck's happening with 4.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a bit of what would you call it? Management. What would you call that? Like managing expectations, maybe, or something. Because I think a lot of people were starting to go, okay, where is this going? I've never seen as much Marvel fatigue as I've seen lately.
Yes,
right.
But they outlined Phase 4 before, right? And a lot of the stuff that's now in the Phase 5 stuff used to be in the plan for Phase 4. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, some of it seemed to be, I think, and it got moved.
Like
during COVID and stuff like that. Yeah. Same. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, was originally.
Yeah, so it could be also okay. We're letting you know, just because the films aren't going to be out when expected. We're letting you know now when they will be out, and then alongside that, here's what we're also planning.
Is there anything in the phases that you guys are interested in?
Avengers. That's like ages away, but
you gotta just wait a few years. I'm surprised they're not bookmarking their phases anymore, though.
What do you mean?
Now we gotta wait that many phases for.
Oh, you mean like have an Avengers at the end?
There used to be a big Avengers movie, and it's like that's what each phase leads up to. Even though sometimes, yes, there would be a movie after that, technically as part of the phase, but realistically,
my OCD just fucked with me.
Yeah. It's like Ant-Man finishes Phase 2, and it's like, no, it doesn't. Just stop. Avengers does. And then it's like Spider-Man. Which one was it?
Far From Home.
Spider-Man Far From Home was the end of Phase 3, and you're like,
no,
why? No, shut the fuck up. Endgame clearly is the what the hell? But yeah. So I think it's weird that there's no big that you got to wait that long till you get a big double barrel. Now it is cool that they're doing the double barrel thing again, where it's like kind of like Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
I imagine those will be quite epic movies.
I imagine so. I'll wait till then to catch up.
Yeah, just like
because I that's what I
watch everything on Disney Plus then, and then
yeah, that's what I did with Infinity War. It was like I had way more enjoyment because like watching them as they come out, I'm like, because I don't know, I'm either if I'm not in the mood for it necessarily and it feels like homework, I'm not really into it. But like when you're leading up to it. And you're like, oh, I can just binge watch all these now, so that when I watch the final one, it's gonna
becomes like a TV series then.
Yeah, I much prefer that, so I'm just gonna hold off. I think out of all of them, Blade's the only one I'm actually interested in.
Yeah, but is that dependent on if it's going to be R-rated or not?
No, I'm just interested to see what are they going to do with Blade, because obviously I have, I'm not familiar with the comic Blade, but the movie Blade, which kickstarted the Marvel Studios, is one of my favorite comic book movies. So I'm just interested to see what are they going to do different, and I don't mind different. I mean, we've had different interpretations of the Batman and stuff like that. So I just hope it's good. And
I have to say, I think it won't stray too far differently. Like I think they are looking at the Wesley Snipes performance as sort of the definitive version of Blade, because I just think with the casting, like of who they casted, you're looking at Mahershala Ali and you're like, he's got serious Wesley Snipes vibes.
Yeah, and even the kind of the font and the color tones and stuff like that they have so far, the marketing.
Like it probably won't be R-rated, and in a way it doesn't have to be, because all the disintegrations and stuff aren't particularly violent.
I mean, Doctor Strange has elements
had blood. It had enough blood to go around.
Head explode. That's crazy.
I mean,
so you can edge that line. It probably will be in tone with that. I don't mean tone. I mean
Blade Trinity.
Stop now.
I think
it will be close to.
It'll be close to Blade Trinity. I think
that'll piss me well off.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's a better movie than Blade Trinity, but I think so. If there was any of the original Blade movies that it would be the closest to, I'd imagine it will be Trinity.
Probably. God, we'll never get one as good as Blade 2 again, though, will we?
No.
I think Blade 2 is an underrated gem. What a movie.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
So good. Anyway, Eric, anything in the phases that you're in any way interested in?
No,
Not phased by any of
not
them.
at all. Not phased by any of them.
No.
I don't
Okay.
care.
Okay.
There's too many.
Yeah, it is.
I
It's
think
a
that's
lot.
where
I
I
think
think
the
that's where the
TV
fatigue comes from.
shows is where it like kind of throws me off a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why they're bothering.
Yeah.
Well, I do know why they're bothering.
Yeah,
I mean,
get subscriptions, bro.
subscriptions is why.
Yeah.
And
But it messes
is,
it a bit, and I wonder if
Yeah.
like that was a bit of a mistake because I think that's partially what messes up the Phase 4 thing a little bit. It's that there's this disconnect, right? It's almost like when you're playing your video games and it's like, well, I'm going to play the main series on my console, but actually if I want to play the next one, I can't play on the console. I have to get a handheld console and play it on that one, and it's like that's canon with it, and if I don't have that handheld, then I don't get access to it. So like there is a disconnect. Like, what if you don't have Disney Plus and you can't afford it or don't want to? How many Marvel movies are you getting in the cinema now?
Yeah, and also
10,000 strong at least.
and also when you see them, are you just totally lost because you don't know that character from that show and this kind of stuff? Like, I mean, there is, and I know you can like look it up, or if you're on the internet, you get a lot of this shit anyway. But like the Multiverse of Madness, like Scarlet Witch's whole plot is like, if you didn't see WandaVision, even if you saw WandaVision, it was a bit left field, but like
and
if you didn't see that,
movie?
it's really left field. No, it's a show. That's a show, I think.
Oh, that's going to be a show?
Yeah.
Okay, which one?
Agatha.
I
that's
think
a show.
Phase
that's
5
That's
or
more
something?
like
show.
that's more like a follow-up, I think, to WandaVision. That's
There's
the way
that.
to
Then there's
think of that.
Miss
But
Marvel's a show, Moon Knight's a show, She-Hulk is a show.
Loki's a show.
fucking She-Hulk.
Daredevil's getting a show. He's
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah, right. So I like the way they've named that. Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah.
Very famous Frank Miller Daredevil comic. It's what a lot of season 3 of Daredevil was based on. And it's also a cool way of it's like a kind of a Daredevil reboot, maybe, or something. It should be a movie. Daredevil deserves to be on the big screen. Daredevil is one of Marvel's most interesting heroes, and I'm getting a little bit pissed off with the sidelining of our main guys, right? Where like Fantastic Four should have been in Phase 4, not just because of the 4, but because as soon as you get them, you should be like prioritizing their movie over some of these other movies.
Yeah.
X-Men aren't in these phases at all.
Yeah, that's a bit
What
weird.
are you thinking?
I don't
Right?
mind Daredevil being the show only because there's a certain level of characters that I think don't fit into the fantastical side of things.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, that's grand, and they can be a little bit more grounded, and I think it suits the TV show like format that Netflix started with it, that and Punisher and things like that. It's like you can be like aware that they're in the same universe, but they don't have the grand scale involvement.
Yeah.
So even be interesting.
But I would have thought then, like, and it depends on what the tone of that show will be, though. Like, because the Netflix, like, I loved the Netflix show, but I would have thought, and mainly when Netflix were doing those Marvel shows, I would have thought Blade was prime for that kind of thing as a show rather than a movie.
Yeah.
So I suppose my thinking is, if Blade gets a movie, Daredevil deserves a movie. And I love Blade. Don't get me wrong, and I want to see a Blade movie, but I just like Charlie Cox is great as Daredevil. He was in the fucking Spider-Man movie. It was a big scene, like I know it was only a moment, but I was genuinely like, it was probably one of my favorite. If the cameos are the exciting thing, that was my favorite cameo, because I was like, it's Daredevil and Spider-Man on screen together. That's way more exciting to me than Spider-Man and Spider-Man on screen together. Spider-Man, right? Because I was like, because they have an interesting relationship, in the comics and in cartoons and stuff. So the idea of Daredevil and Spider-Man, who operate in the same city, but one of them is the darker. It's like Batman and Superman, right? Kind of a thing. So I would just like to see him on the big screen more, because I think he can be more. He doesn't have to be a fucking Avenger or anything, but he can be more connected to some of these other larger characters. And 18 episodes is a long season.
Yeah, but
So I'd be put off by that. but we'll see.
But
If it's 18 episodes of gold, then great. But
it seems like with a lot of Marvel's shows, they're just doing like the one season. That's sort of it, which I also think is really weird. Well, I know What If is getting a season 2.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I don't know if anything.
Well,
Is there
Loki,
anything
right?
else?
Loki's getting a season 2.
Loki's
That's kind of
season
season 2.
yeah.
All right, okay. So they are going to
and then
continue
Captain America, they're doing a movie instead of a season 2.
that. Okay.
That would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Obviously, Sam is Captain America now, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he's.
Do you think the Marvel films though now are no longer for casual viewers?
Yeah. No, I think you got to be hardcore into it now.
Yeah, like you need to kind of know this, that, and the other, because there's certain things that they'll appear, and it's like to the average viewer, it's just like whatever, but to a diehard, it's like, oh my god, that's the best thing ever, and it's like,
sure,
okay,
yeah.
but actually, it was kind of meaningless in the grand scheme of things. Like
It's basically you're collecting the comic book issues, but
Yeah.
it's like, but you can't
I've
just
always
collect
hated that.
Right.
I could never get into that.
So they've actually in a sense, this is gonna irk Eric. In a sense, they have made the most accurate comic book movie experience.
Yeah.
You can't just follow Spider-Man, and if you do just follow the Spider-Man issues, you are going, wait, who the fuck is that, and when did that happen? It's like, oh no, that happened in like Iron Man issue, whatever.
Yeah.
So you got to go read that storyline,
Which is
but then in that
technically
storyline
was a
it
subscription
connects to-
service as well in itself.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
they have actually recreated the Marvel comic book experience in the form of movies
You know
and
what?
TV shows.
Now it's
Those
the best
guys are
thing.
geniuses. I am now going to sign up for Disney Plus. Those guys are the best thing ever. Well done.
I've always been more.
They're so comic book accurate.
Yeah.
I've always been a bigger fan of the collective comic book as opposed to
The graphic novel,
if you want
Yeah.
to call it that. But it just, I never liked the individual issues. It's just it never felt like you're getting full value for your money ever.
No.
No, that's because half of it was advertisements for other things.
Yeah, toys and
Yeah.
Hez dispenser.
or it will be 3 small stories in the one comic, and you're like,
Yeah,
I don't even know where any of this is, and then
Yeah.
that will branch off into its own series, and I fucking always hated that. I used to always just wait for the collective and just buy it as a one volume.
Yeah,
Except for that story about Wolverine and Logan. You actually got all the ones for that. You know, it was explaining Wolverine's
I did.
origin.
That was only because it was only over the course of a 5-issue thing, so it wasn't
Yeah.
that bad.
Yeah. And I think
But
that's
I think that's the only time you've ever done that.
I suppose other movies in the Marvel phases that I am excited for. Wakanda Forever.
Wow,
Which we got a trailer for.
That was
what a
that-
trailer!
amazing trailer.
That is a fantastic trailer. It looks really well shot.
That looks like
There
they
are
gave
some
their CGI team time on that one.
Yeah. No, and Ryan
And they
Coogler
paid
is a
him.
good
Gave him
director.
lunch.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be like whatever about the first Black Panther, whether you liked it, whether you loved it, there was so much passion in it. There really was. You could see that on screen, and there was a lot of culture embedded in with the sci-fi.
Yeah.
So I think when you've got that same passion, but also you're honoring or respecting, you know, the lead actor who tragically passed away,
Yeah.
I think that movie could be a special one.
And
I'll probably
really
go
excited for that
see
villain.
that one.
Namor.
Yeah.
Namor.
he looks fucking amazing in it.
Yeah, he looks fucking cool. Finish that title though.
What?
Namor the. People seem to pronounce his full name differently. Namor the what?
I don't know. It's
The
full title.
water breather.
Oh, you don't know.
Oh.
Right. I always said Namor the Submariner.
Oh, the Submariner.
They all say Submariner in
Yeah.
America. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Submariner or Submariner?
Yeah, but they also say
Sub-
Matt when
Yeah,
it's
no,
supposed to be Matt.
Nah, it's Submariner.
What?
Is it Submariner?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if they're pronouncing it that way in the movie, it's going to be the Submariner, isn't it? So that'll be the official pronunciation of it for this franchise. But
So there
yeah,
you
so
go,
Wakanda Forever looks
Submarine.
great. I will be keeping an eye out for what they do with Fantastic Four, because I do think that is a property that the MCU tone fits perfectly. Like
Yep.
I just feel like it will be the best Fantastic Four movie. You know, maybe that's
And the
easy,
bar,
but-
that's a high bar.
Maybe it's really difficult.
That's a fucking high bar. And then
But maybe Fantastic Four is just they're a group of superheroes that cannot translate the screen well.
I really think
If they can
the
make Thor
MCU
work,
can do it. Yeah, I think the MCU can do it. They made Guardians of the Galaxy some of the most popular characters like ever. Guardians of the fucking Galaxy.
Yeah,
Never
well, the
heard of
difference
them
there is no. Yeah,
before that movie.
that's the thing though. No one's ever heard of him. Whereas with the Fantastic Four, it's like if you're somewhat aware of it, that poses a bigger challenge, I think.
Yeah. No, I think the biggest challenge with the Fantastic Four, honestly, is Mr. Fantastic's abilities, and that not coming off as being just.
Well, when you look
too
back
cheesy.
I've never seen the second iteration of the Fantastic
Oh,
Four. I've never seen it.
So bad.
But when you
and
go
I
back
was
to
excited for it.
when you go back to the older one,
Yeah.
like the Fantastic Four themselves were never, for me at least, the problem with that movie. It's always the depiction of Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom.
You got Doctor Doom
and
wrong.
They need to nail that.
Yeah.
If you can make a Fantastic Four that has great chemistry, that usual Marvel banter, because it does fit those characters. Like I wouldn't put that on everyone. That's not a Daredevil thing. That's not a Blade thing. But it is a Fantastic Four thing. That kind of back and forth banter and stuff, and make them really likable, and then have a villain that fucking steals the screen every time he's on. If you could have a solid movie there.
Yeah, I think one thing as well to need to focus on more is the intellect of Reed Richards, more so than his stretchy abilities, because he is supposed to be, I think, one of the smartest, if not the smartest person on the planet.
I think they did that quite well in the original Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
Well, he seemed very smart. Now the one with Miles Teller, not so much, because they were going for these kind of college students who were just sort of figuring shit out, and it's a really bad movie, lads. I can't believe how bad it is. I went to see it in cinema.
I've seen that movie
on my own because I was excited for it. No one else was excited for it, but I was like, yeah, dark take on Fantastic Four sounds awesome. Turns out
not so much.
You can't just do a dark take on everything and it works. It's not true. With some things it doesn't work. Okay, so then moving on from Marvel and DC. For me, the biggest highlight of San Diego Comic-Con, something that we've talked about before and that I've previously been on the fence about. And I think it wasn't long before that I actually said, I'm still not like 100% in, and I don't know what it is they need to show me. And then they showed me what they needed to show me. So the Rings of Power San Diego Comic-Con trailer.
It's a good trailer.
Unfucking.
Do you know, I was actually watching before we came on, just watching some shit on YouTube, and that trailer, not that trailer, but a trailer for Rings of Power came up. I think it was the one just before that one, and it came up as an advert, and I didn't skip it. It's the only ad I won't skip. It's the Rings of Power trailer. The last two trailers have been, and I hope they're a good representation of the show and not just a kick-ass marketing team. But those last two trailers are exactly what I want.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't lead with that.
Right? They've done a terrible job marketing this thing for like the last 2 years.
Yeah. So in this new trailer, I suppose we get a good look at the villains, I guess.
Oh, man.
You know, there's a lot more of the villains and the monsters
Shadys in this, man.
Motherfucker, yeah, and he's burning leaves.
Yeah.
But that's what I think.
This does make it sound like Sauron is just getting high.
Yeah,
the real Slim Shady's burning some leaves.
He's ringing up Just Eat.
Sauron's the OG gangster.
He is, man. OG gangster. Is that Sauron, the blonde guy?
No. And the dialogue online.
A lot of people think he is.
I know.
Right? Yeah, a lot of internet
they're getting so angry about it because that's actually an actress, right? Which is
is it? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that initially either.
I actually didn't know that at all.
But it's actually really interesting because it kind of has that, like that. Was it Gabriel from Constantine kind of look nearly like the
it's sort of androgynous. It's called, isn't it? Where it's like it could be either or. Yeah.
And she looks fucking amazing in it. Like she looks really good.
Badass.
But people were complaining because the articles were like, this is such and such an actor, which it wasn't. They got the name wrong. Playing Sauron. Okay. And everyone's like losing their shit, going, "Oh, it's a woman playing Sauron. This is impossible." And so it's like, how can you be so like? How can you share straight out wrong information?
Yeah,
or
but actually, they do it all the time.
But even if that information was like true, right? Like maybe wait till you've seen it, because that's one case where it's like that's actually fine. because Sauron's a shapeshifter, so
Yeah.
that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Like, and also then you can't go, Sauron looks wrong. It's like, you don't know what Sauron looked like.
I know, yeah.
So
But, yeah,
they can
most of
look
the
like
time
anything. So,
Yeah.
I think that's a kind of a Numenorian cultist. So like
sounds
like
fucking badass.
like a priestess, kind of head of a cult of Morgoth, on Numenor.
I
So-
hope you're right.
Because if you look at and what's interesting is if you look at the staff, like there's a clip of them on a cliff, and if she's holding a staff, and even the top of the staff almost has the shape of like Barad-dûr with the eye in the middle of it, like
Yeah. And they keep
Looks so
finding
cool.
that like symbol that looks almost like the top of like a trident type thing or something like that. They
Yeah.
keep finding this like symbol.
definitely has kind of a
So-
Sauron helmet kind of look to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Also,
man,
I did
so
actually
fucking cool.
also
Yeah.
finally notice the shot you were talking about was the ship burning, and
Oh.
in the
Yeah.
flames, it looks like there's like a gap in the middle of the flames, and it looks like
No,
Sauron
it's just
died.
that. It's the Meteor Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, the Meteor
I-
Man.
it's
the way-
it's the
it's the
flame.
way
The way
he's
the flame comes back
positioned.
in.
And the flame. Yeah.
oh, I saw it with the burning ship. Okay.
It could be that I'd say there's imagery of like
Throughout.
there's probably Sauron imagery throughout, and I love that kind of shit where it's just like hints at, you know what I mean? Like he's not going to be an eye this time around, but just hints at the eye because that's what is associated with Sauron, the all-seeing, all-powerful eye.
Orcs look cool.
They look fantastic.
They look
They
awesome.
look fantastic, and I don't know who the fucking the character is that is getting up out of the ground, and it shows the hand, and it looks like a horror movie, and I was just like, I'm in, because the thing that was so cool about Lord of the Rings, the movies for me, is the juxtaposition of, I'm using your word, Eric, the really happy, lovely companionship of our heroes versus the genuine like fear and horror of like Mordor.
Mm.
To the point where, like, that first movie, especially when you're a child, is actually scary. It's not just a little bit scary, it's really scary. I remember being terrified of the ring wraiths, and like the Uruk-hai are like covered in blood and everything, and it's not like it does total line of like it's not for kids, right? Even though there's a PG rating there. So I just think when I see all this shit, I'm like, that's what I needed to see. We were seeing all the light stuff, and it's like, that's fine, looks like a well-made show, but I needed to see this dark shit, and now I'm fucking in. I can't wait.
I think that hand coming
Almost
out of
here
the
too.
ground, and it's like the creature is getting up. It's got a clawed hand heading towards a door.
Yeah, what the
Yeah,
fuck is that?
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's Sauron as the werewolf.
I think
Man,
that
that
would
would
be
be fucking
really
cool.
cool. I don't know if it is.
It
But it
could
will
be
be cool,
Sauron.
though.
When you're watching the
could be.
trailer, it kind of
Yeah.
happens as they're talking about, like, I think
About-
it's
about
like
Sauron.
after the old man says, "Have you heard of Sauron?"
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean,
So it could be Sauron.
I've seen a couple of people break down the trailer and saying that it's an orc, and I don't think it's an orc.
No,
They've made the visual of the orcs like quite
Yeah.
distinct. Like there's like, okay, that's what the orcs are going to look like, and this certainly didn't look like one.
Plus, it
Um,
looks like this thing, whatever it is, it looks like it walks in another scene where they're not showing it on purpose, right? So it can't be an orc, and there's too much emphasis on it.
Mm.
But it looks like it walks through like a camp of orcs who all start bowing down.
No, I think that's a different person though.
Oh, maybe it is.
Yeah.
I thought it was the
but
same
I think
person.
it also grabs the Sylvan Elf. Its
No.
hands come out.
You know,
That's a
I
different thing again.
I
Oh my
think-
god, there's so many things.
because there's a couple of hands there.
There's a few hands there, yeah.
A few
yeah.
hands
They look
there.
Okay,
similar.
but is there not a few werewolves though? No.
Well, you
Lord
see,
of-
werewolves are like another age. They wouldn't be here. They're all well
Wait,
gone.
yeah, but they
well
have
gone.
they have altered the timeline. So
Pray they do not alter
They
it
alter
further.
it.
I don't know if they'll. I'm sure there might be. I guess we'll definitely see one in like maybe a flashback or something like that. But I don't know. And maybe there might be because there was a castle in the ice, and I mean, it's hard to know whether that could be Morgoth's castle, which I think Talon Goroth, I think the name of it, which is Tower of the Wolves. So I mean, they could be, but
Badass.
the hands I think grabbing that elf.
Yeah.
I think they're Ents.
What?
I think they're Ents.
No way.
I think you're supposed to.
Why do you think that?
Well, it's actually
tree herders, like shepherds of the forest.
there's kind of branches behind him, right? I think we're supposed to. He's getting away
Right.
from something. I think we're supposed to think that's a
Like an oh shit moment, but
That's-
just been saved.
That's the end of an episode. That's a cliffhanger on an episode, I'd say, right? And then
100%.
and then the next, I'd say that's actually ends because I don't know if you've ever seen his armor in the show material. There's like this big face on his chest plate with a big kind of like leafy style beard on it. Which I didn't see that on him there, so I'm wondering if he's going to have some sort of like connection with the Ents, to almost be their
cut
sentinel.
off their face and then.
And do you think so? Like, if they were the Ents, then it would make sense, wouldn't it, that the Ents don't necessarily look tree-like yet, because that's something that maybe happens over time.
Possibly,
because those hands don't look tree-like, so maybe these are just more like spirits of the forests at this point.
Well, they kind of either that or they're evil.
I
trees.
thought they were like fully black. Like
if you pause it though, I mean, it's like yes they are, but it's so dark anyway that it's like there could be bark-like texture. But or
you hear Adam? This is like but it starts to rain later, so maybe Zach dies later.
they could be evil trees either, like Hurons.
Yeah. It's exciting as well to see like how many different creatures and stuff are going to be in the show. It looks fucking high quality, and as well the opening shot of just placing the helmet on the many helmets with the sun in the background.
That
and
does
just
look like that looks like something straight out of 300.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Or the Lord of the Rings.
Which is a better comparison.
No, I get you. Yeah. But there is that kind of
break her toe.
Yeah, just for accuracy.
No,
because I got a Battle of Pelennor Fields vibe off it. But actually, now that you said the 300 thing, there is a bit of a Snyder-esque color tone there too, as well.
On that particular scene, yeah.
He's the blueprint. So, well, for me personally, anyway, that trailer was the highlight of.
Definitely the best thing that was shown. No doubt.
Yeah. Before we move on to some gaming stuff, was there anything else from San Diego Comic-Con that you guys wanted to talk about?
Yeah, the shot of the Balrog.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. How many people missed that as well? Because as soon as like Prime came up, they just like turned it off and went, "Yeah, that was good. That Balrog."
I gasped. I'm not joking. I gasped so fucking hard at that I ended up with a headache. I've never inhaled so much oxygen before.
Jesus Christ. This is why you should do reaction
I couldn't
videos.
believe it. I genuinely could not believe it.
You got cyanosis. It makes sense though, right? Like
I don't know if it does, but I'm glad it's there.
Why not?
Well,
why doesn't it make sense? Like,
it could be Durin's Bane.
It could genuinely be Durin's Bane.
It's most likely Durin's Bane, which wouldn't necessarily have appeared just yet.
I'm okay. I don't care.
That's why I'm like, I don't care. Yeah.
You know what? At this point, though, when I'm seeing such cool shit now and I'm seeing what they can do, I'm really sorry if this like offends anyone. I don't care what they change. I really don't. If they could put everything in it, if fucking Shelob is in this and it makes no sense, I don't give a shit.
What if she's a sexy lady with black hair?
Well, that's how Tolkien wrote it.
I will.
That's
care.
what Tolkien wanted.
I will care a little bit. Okay, I'll draw the line in some places. Like, you can't put Gollum in here. You know what I mean? Like,
do you think that the Balrog, like the flaming leaf going down into the cave, has any connection with that Balrog appearing?
Maybe. I just thought it had more to do with. I thought that was maybe a leaf dropping in Mordor, and it was just like the ashes of the ground were burning, and I thought it was more of a hint of like.
Well, the cave you could see there's like the veins of Mithril as it's going down.
That's so badass the way he said that. You're probably right.
Because then it's like, okay, is that priestess kind of summoning the Balrog, or is she?
That sounds
a Balrog.
Cool. That's not cool.
Because Balrogs themselves are just Maya spirits that take on the form of a flaming demon.
Yes.
So could it be that this is another kind of shape-shifting kind of thing that was the presence they took and now they're actually fully coming out, so to speak.
I don't think that's as cool as a cultist summoning the Balrog. I think that's cooler, and a Balrog, being these servants of Morgoth that have now, descended deep into the earth and there are some out there in different places maybe, and this is just one that gets woken from its slumber to wreak havoc. Like, I think that sounds fucking cool.
Let's mess up whatever those dwarves plan to do with the elves.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. Well, I do think the dwarves are the ones that are going to get fucked up by the Balrog, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe Glamdring will make an appearance here somewhere. Like eventually it gets passed on from the elves to Gandalf, right? So it's got to be in some kind of elven presence somewhere, right?
I don't know. I mean, that just ends up in a troll shot, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They find it in a troll cave.
The whole show is about how Glamdring gets in that... It's an origin
We need
story
to know that.
for...
That needs to be explored.
Yeah. Why is Han Solo named Han Solo?
But
Okay.
yeah, it just looks phenomenal. But I think what I was really just surprised by was just how much that looked like the Weta Workshop Balrog. The new line cinema Balrog. It's like, who has, like, because there was talks about there being a connection between the two, and then there wasn't one, and then Weta was involved and Weta's not involved, and then
They surely are, though. Right?
Weta Digital definitely is, but I don't know whether that, like, that doesn't give you the rights to their designs, though. You know what I mean?
I would say there was some agreements made as well, though, about, like,
Well,
I think
like there is a lot of the movie's DNA on display here, and like I know there's a lot of armor and stuff that's different because it's a totally different age, but there is a lot of like visual cues that are definitely taken from.
But I think at this point now, that is like the definitive design for the Balrog.
Yeah, I know, but I just mean that, like, whether you consider that the design, if a whole different studio's doing it, like, that doesn't necessarily...
Yeah, I get you.
Because it's Warner Brothers, after all, that would technically have the rights to that design. Can't imagine them playing nicely to Amazon. Or maybe it's because, remember, didn't the rights get sold after, or the rights were up?
It's possible Amazon have the rights to everything when they bought it.
Maybe.
Like, it depends on what was in that contract.
But that, to me, just kind of... I'm now excited to see, is there going to be a direct... Like, is it leading directly into the movies? Where are they kind of like keeping that, like, it is, but it isn't, but then it actually genuinely would lead up?
Well, I feel like this whole show, if it's really about like the rise of Sauron and the creation of the rings and stuff, the natural end for this show, depending on, and it might feel wrong because there's like going to be huge time jumps maybe, or maybe they'll condense history too much, but the natural end to this show is the Battle of the Last Alliance, the defeating of Sauron, right?
I think the closing shot should absolutely be Gollum picking up the ring. Yeah.
And then you watch the movies then.
Yeah.
And I think that makes total sense. Maybe it doesn't in like if you want to break down the history of Middle-earth and the way it's written and all that, but this is a TV show with an arc.
Yeah.
With what they've now set up in this trailer, which is the real story, which is basically this character Sauron has come to Middle-earth and is stirring shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Then ultimately the show needs to end with defeating Sauron.
Yep.
But you've only defeated him for now.
Yeah.
Like, it makes
concluded.
Yeah. So that's fantastic, man. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Don't have to wait long, which is great. Could you imagine getting this trailer like last year?
Yeah,
maybe the marketing team was really good. Maybe they were like, if we had the expectations really low.
Yeah, if we see,
it's so low that people are not even like
watching the trailer.
Even this trailer, they're like, no, I still hate it. Fuck that shit. You know, the people are now. Yeah, it's so expectations are so low. People are being really stubborn with the whole thing.
Yeah, but now you've rooted out the weak.
No, it's still possible that the show won't be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still absolutely possible that it looks great, that this is just a solid trailer. It is still possible. Like, this is not a confirmation of, oh, they've just made the best show ever or anything like that. Like, it's possible we'll watch it and go, what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also very possible that it's going to be great. And so now the open-mindedness is here. Boom. I'm in, and I can't wait to watch it. Anything else from San Diego Comic-Con you want to talk about before we briefly talk about some gaming stuff? No? Look at Eric, though. He's like, yeah, I do.
No, there's no point.
Really? I thought you were all on John Wick Chapter 4.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That was great.
All I'd say about it is good trailer. Looking forward to seeing it. Looks like great action.
I mean, Keanu Reeves.
I haven't actually seen it.
It's a really well shot trailer.
Good trailer.
And the action looks awesome. Some of it looks stupid,
Right.
but you gotta expect that a little bit too. A little bit equilibrium, a little bit where you're like, that's cool choreography, bro, but nobody does that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
but cool.
a little burnt out by John Wick, I think.
Yeah, well, it's totally changed from what it was, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not what it was anymore. It's
They kind of should have just
different.
left it as a treat, but I'll still go see this one. But they should have just left it.
I was always of the opinion they should have left it at 1, actually. But even though the action scenes are really good in the other ones, I don't think that they're very compelling stories that they're telling.
Yeah. I don't think I don't think I minded 2 as much, but it's when it's the end of 2 that it just gets a bit here.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Everyone's in a
But I have to say, what I mean by like I really like the action sequences. Like I loved, and I thought it was fantastic, that dog choreography fight scene
In 3.
in 3.
Yeah, no, it was
with
good.
Halle Berry.
Hmm.
That's just amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
That's a really great action set piece.
I wish she was in it more. She was great.
She was great. But so moving on to the gaming stuff then. During the week, there was some information about GTA 6. They've said it's going to be based in Vice City. There will be 2 protagonists. Yeah. It's going to be based in Vice City. There's going to be 2 protagonists, like a Bonnie and Clyde style thing.
Excellent.
Ooh.
I believe they're going to be Latin American.
Awesome.
Fucking cool.
And it's the first time there will be a female protagonist in a Grand Theft Auto game.
Right. I'm going to assume some people are angry about that.
It wouldn't
that's
be,
awesome.
Yeah, it's very unusual for a Grand Theft Auto to cause controversy, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
I think
That
it's
has
going to
never
be...
happened in history ever.
No, never.
You can already see... I haven't looked into it too much, but you can already see people with... Grand Theft Auto has gone woke, you know?
I have seen that, but that's all I've known about it. I didn't know all that extra stuff. The only thing I've seen was that there's going to be a female protagonist, and I'm like, so what?
But
I think
I don't see the issue with...
I think it's a
don't see
really
the
good
issue.
opportunity to, because GTA is so satire of America. I think it's a really good opportunity to do satire of America from a woman's point of view.
I see someone comment saying
Yeah.
that GTA is not a satire of America. It's a what did he call it? He said it was a...
It's not like a... Does he think it's a celebration?
He said it was
of
a
this?
celebration of American values.
Wow. Is
I
he
thought it was
joking?
a joke.
Was he joking?
No,
I hope he's joking.
He wasn't joking. He wasn't joking.
For
What?
fuck's sake.
And he just thought it. He said it was like kind of like an over exaggerated celebration of American values, and I was like, "Fuck me, have you missed the point?" That's like the dude who complained about Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, I seen that one. Yeah.
What was that one? I didn't see that one.
Oh, what did he say it was? It's like, I can't believe, like, Rage Against the Machine, you used to be different, man. Was it like
You used to be against the system, but now you're all
all lefty
for the system.
You know,
Yeah,
you're all
left and woke and whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Used to be against the system, but now you're left.
Yeah, like it was basically
Okay.
saying like how they're like, oh yeah, there's something about being socialists or something shit like that.
Some shit like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, man, you've never actually really listened to Rage Against the Machine, have you?
Yeah, you've heard them, but you haven't
Yeah.
been listening.
Tom Morello
Uh,
literally has like a red star on his fucking guitar all the time, and like
Yeah.
Cuban
Yeah.
like graffiti
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think that going back to Vice City would be class. Playing as the 2 kind of characters, being like a Bonnie and Clyde, robbing bank sort of thing.
That is a
That sounds
cool
like-
idea.
That is
Yeah.
very cool.
I think it's a super cool idea, and when we talked about San Andreas, we did at the end and go, what would you like to see from Grand Theft Auto next? And there was a lot of different like ideas. GTA Gotham City, please make it. And but I think like we did say, oh, they should do Latin American characters next, because it would be great. Like just after, like there's so much content after coming out of the last season of America to satire, right?
Yes.
That to do it from that perspective as well, I think really makes sense. It's another it's another demographic that they haven't
Touched.
like. There's been characters that are Latin American, but you've never played from their perspective. So I think it's great. And then to play, I like the idea of playing as a woman because in GTA, because it's doing something new. They haven't done it yet. Like if you have a series that they've tried so many new things, like the last game was they had 3 protagonists and the whole thing was you could change character. So that was something new. So now they're coming with something new again, which is this is the first time you're going to play a GTA game from a female perspective. And I think there's an opportunity to kind of highlight and satire men's behavior from her perspective. And I just think that could be fucking really entertaining. And also for a lot of people, quite eye-opening. Like, I think you could get a lot of people playing this game going, I feel really uncomfortable right now. And it's like, good. I'm glad you do. It's not nice, is it? You know what I mean? Like, but as well, obviously, because of the kind of gameplay of GTA, like, you're still going to be able to be a fucking badass robbing cars and shooting up places, and you know.
Yeah, you're certainly not going to be a hero necessarily. Well, you might be.
No.
It might be a Nico Bellic kind of approach to it, because he's not as much of a villain, let's say, as some of the other characters.
Right. Yeah, I think it will be a case more of like circumstance.
Yeah,
is probably the story they're going to be telling, right?
Probably a bit of a rob from the rich, give to the poor, which would be cool as well, because the Latino demographic would be so.
Is that like that's kind of a Red Dead approach, nearly, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. I would have thought it was just like a simple case of like, we've grown up in shitty circumstances.
Yeah,
I think as well they have an opportunity to do the whole in kind of a revisit of San Andreas type thing, the whole corrupt police thing. They could definitely have corrupt police characters in this game.
But like
makes
that's
sense.
what I mean by like, it could almost start off as like a rob from the rich, give to the poor, based on their circumstance of where they're growing up, because Latino families and stuff in America sometimes don't exactly grow up in the nicest of places. So I'd imagine that's where you'd be growing up, in something like Vice City. But then your characters could evolve. I think it'd be really interesting if they did a thing where if you're playing as these two characters, that they become at odds with each other on sort of the moral ethics of what they're doing and what they should be doing. Yeah. And then of course, being intermingled with
right. Like if one of them is kind of taken in by the thrill of it and everything, and the other one's like, you know, don't forget why we're doing this. They're gonna help our cousins and our family or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it's
like they got a sick nana. You know, they got to pay for the medical bills.
I think it's a brother and a sister.
Even better.
Yes. So probably will be built around like family and family values and stuff. Yeah.
I'm interested, like, because obviously Vice City, it had to be right.
VI.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto VI. It's gonna be called.
And I'm really interested in that kind of character dynamic that you just mentioned. I'm not. I don't know why. I just kind of feel like San Andreas is the better setting for that character dynamic than Vice City.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I'll be interested to see how that's going to fit together.
Yeah, and I get that, because I think when you think about, well, as well, I suppose when
I think San Andreas was wasted on GTA 5 personally.
Yeah, I do feel that GTA 5 could have been Vice City.
Yes,
there's a lot of those vibes there, especially like of the three characters. What's their names again? There's
Franklin, Michael, and Trevor.
Michael kind of is the main character. Realistically, like a lot of it's played from his perspective, and he's sort of the driving force of the story in a way. And he's very much a like GTA Vice City kind of.
He kind of has a Ray Liotta look to him. Yeah.
So, that one absolutely. It could have been the other way around, but I suppose because of the way it's just worked out, it's it's the way it is. But as well, like I imagine it'll be a modern setting, so it'll be a very different looking Vice City too, than the one of the PS2 era. But I'm excited for it. I think
you have a couple of those red caps we're going around as well in Vice City.
Just red caps.
Red caps and everything.
I'd say there'll be a lot of
sure
Easter eggs and callbacks and stuff as well to the original Vice City.
There were like two people trying to build this wall, but like it never gets done.
Yeah. There's going to be characters like that in it.
Oh yeah.
I think what I'm be most excited to see now is based off of like Red Dead Redemption, what it's going to actually look like now with the new game engine.
Oh man.
Because GTA 5 when it came out looked great, like looked amazing.
I think it still does. That game holds up to fuck.
When you compare that to Red Dead 2 though, like I think Red Dead 2 to this day is probably one of the best looking games ever made.
Yeah.
Like it as an open world game, it even like gives Last of Us Part 2 a run for its money.
Absolutely. I actually
but not Skyrim.
Because I actually prefer playing GTA games to Red Dead games.
Yeah.
I find them more fun. So yeah, the an even more modern Grand Theft Auto game,
Yeah.
like that engine and the fun of Grand Theft Auto, like I think is gonna be
And
great. And
with
I
the
do
newest consoles, because like Red Dead was last gen.
man. Yeah.
Like it looked that good last gen.
But supposedly the report as well said it was a Bloomberg report, and supposedly so it's going to start with Vice City, but over time they're going to introduce more areas. Whether that's in the form of DLC or the game will update, I don't know. But whole new areas that you can go. So it's just going to be like this expanding game that's like, how are you going to do a GTA 7? Like, what the fuck could you do after
None
that?
of us are going to have enough SSD space for that shit.
I love that Rockstar always push forward. They don't really stop it. Like, and when you think they've kind of found like you can't go any further, they'll find a point to go further.
Some of the details they have in Red Dead 2 is just like, this is actually unnecessary.
This is ridiculous.
Never going to look at my horse's balls. Like, but you put in that ridiculous detail of them shrinking and expanding depending on temperature.
But even in GTA 5, like the amount of things you could do where it's like you can absolutely not do any missions and just go play golf or go fishing, or like the amount of just like pastimes you could do within that game.
Yeah.
And then as well as then you can go rob cars and you can go rob banks, and like it is genuinely a fucking incredible game.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this. And I do think there's an opportunity to, like, they will continue the satire. But they can also kind of dip their toe in. Not too much. I don't want too much of, like, because I think Red Dead is a good opportunity for them to do their serious storytelling. Yeah. But they can certainly dip their toe a little bit into like serious storytelling, kind of like they did do with GTA 4. Like I think that the protagonists could have a bit of heart to them and like a compelling story, but everyone around them, there's room for the satire. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah,
because I think that was the thing with GTA 4. Like Nico's the only person with any sort of common sense walking into this this new world, and everyone else was just ridiculous. Like everyone, he was just kind of like, okay, sure, whatever you say. I'll do that.
And he was always he was kind of reluctant to do a lot of the stuff as well. And I think that worked for his character. Like GTA 4 has great mechanics and a great character and some good writing. I think the issue with it was the map is so drab, like it's so dull looking. Like I do think these kind of unfortunately Liberty City is not as interesting a location as San Andreas or Vice City.
But it almost was. They made advancements in some areas with the like removal of others. Like I think it was because San Andreas was so massive, and you could fly helicopters and planes and all that kind of stuff, and that's stuff that was removed for 4.
Yeah.
So you couldn't do as much, and it was a smaller city.
And there's no sense of the countryside either, whereas both the other games can have that. And I do think that's important because that's where you kind of get up to all sorts of shenanigans. You know what I mean?
I still don't think they'll ever top San Andreas ever. Even with all the new shit, I don't think. I
know what you're saying, and I do think that comes purely from nostalgia, though, because I was replaying San Andreas and I've been playing GTA 5. I've still never finished either, actually.
Yeah.
And San Andreas holds a very special place in my heart. I love it. But GTA 5 is a better game. It is the best Grand Theft Auto game that they've ever made.
On a technical level.
100%.
But it's almost as if the kind of the
you think they've lost the charm?
Well, it's the jankiness of San Andreas is part of what makes it fucking so great, nearly.
Yeah, you see, I think San Andreas is like the perfect sandbox game.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And GTA 5 is kind of gone away from the sandbox experience.
Yes. And I think it doesn't
feel
as much as they want to, I think the characters and the setting's going to be interesting for 6, as long as they can make sure GTA has always been gameplay first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they always, fucking hell, like they always make new additions to the game. I don't know what they can add though. Like,
no,
the exhaust pipes of your car will shrink or expand depending on temperature.
But that's not through gameplay. That's just sort of like aesthetics or features.
Well, because of the exhaust, if the exhaust pipe gets smaller, your car can't go as fast. And if it's then it starts expanding, the car goes faster. Just gameplay
that's
mechanic
fucking
right there.
Ridiculous. But I just mean like they made the additions of now you can go into first person and all that, and they added in all the cover shooting and.
Well, it'd be nice if they brought back because they took it away after San Andreas, but bring back in things like the eating and you start getting fat and working out
Yeah,
and
like the
start
simulation side of things of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff would be great.
More mini games, the buying clothes side of things, and I know you could do that in 5 anyway, but even streamlining that, make that easier.
Man, they'll probably as well because they really do
combat and stuff
satire
is
every
fine.
time they bring it out. They satire like the last couple of years. So I wonder if there will be something about like the whole COVID experience, and I don't mean like there'll be an infection or something, but just like they're definitely going to have like streaming characters. There's definitely going to be like a version of Twitch, but it's called something else in GTA, like something. And I think like all that stuff could be really funny as well, like where it's like that's me, like fucking everyone and their mother will have a podcast, like
yeah. Though I do
like,
find that I think that's why GTA 5 I could never really get into was that all the other ones were a look back at a time.
Yeah.
With the except of 3, maybe 3. Well, no, 3 was the 90s, I think. And then 5, I think, was based like kind of like now. So you had like the iFruit phone and stuff like that, and it's almost it's like yeah, okay, like
they're just targeting you, Adam.
I love it. You see, I know what you're saying. And if they do base it back, they haven't. That's something that hasn't been said. It hasn't been said whether it's a period piece or a modern game. I think it'll be a modern game only because then they can continue and build on the features from 5 that a lot of people came to really like the use of the apps and stuff, and you can then have that app on your own phone and it'll work together.
Yeah, I never liked the phone mechanic though. I think it was introduced in 4, wasn't it? The phone.
It was, yeah.
And I never liked it.
So,
but there was always a phone. Like it was like he's always chatting in the car as you're driving, but I didn't like having to interact with the phone.
Well, if they do a period piece, like that'll be awesome.
Where would you want to set?
1890s early 1900s Prohibition era.
What the fuck?
Okie dokie then.
Probably I know they did it with San Andreas, but it's a different city and it's a different demographic. So maybe the 90s again. 90s Vice City as opposed to 80s Vice City or early 2000s.
I think
just for my own nostalgia. I just think the 70s might be going too far back, depending on the kind of story they're trying to tell. I don't know.
Okay,
that's going too far back. Prohibition era, that's fine.
No, 70s, I did not say that was fine. Eric, what era do you hope it's set in?
What did I just say?
Yeah, come on. You don't mean that. That's fuck. You don't mean. Do you mean that?
Get a Tommy gun. Yeah, that's class.
You can get a Tommy gun today.
Maybe that's why it's fucking Bonnie and Clyde. Maybe they'll have the hats and everything. But then you wouldn't set it in Miami.
I would want it to be set modern times. I think there is in the last couple of years since GTA 5 has been remastered and remastered again and remastered again and remastered again. There's a lot of social commentaries.
But I think you can still do that, because I think that was the thing that I loved about the first Red Dead Redemption, was that it was based in the Western time, and it was talking about like ridiculous shit that you could still apply, like that ideology is still there today, and you're like, see, like how old, like you know what I mean, like you could still
I get that,
make
but
fun of it.
I don't think that registers with everyone who's going to play the game.
Would you like it to be
though?
Derek, would you like it to be like really, really apparent where it's like,
because I don't think it should be like necessarily a political message. I don't think games should be and art shouldn't be. It should be just say something and you make what you will of it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I think there is something to be said for that kind of South Park approach, which I do think GTA often is quite like, where it's where it's like, this is very clear. Like, they have a character here called Devin Tump. He, he's got a big red hat on, and
but that they do the whole like, okay, we'll grab something else and we kind of put some of that in it. You know what I mean? It's not like a 1-for-1 nearly.
No, I know.
Well, they did do actually recently. South Park did. They turned Randy into Karen, and they didn't shy away from it. They straight up called him Karen, and by the end of it, he ends up having like this blackout, and he's in the hospital, and he's handcuffed, and the police are talking. And he's like, "What happened?" It's like, "Sorry, Randy, You just went full nuclear Karen. It's this whole thing, like it's just... So they don't shy away from that stuff.
You know, the whole
they shy away from nothing.
the whole Karen thing became so crazy that people stopped naming children Karen
Yeah,
out of just fear of how people will treat them based on purely on their name. I was like, that's fucking crazy. And I know loads of Karens and they're lovely, but I just think that's mad that it got to that kind of point. But it's a funny joke as well, the whole Karen thing. Just before we finish up, then one other piece of gaming news that came out during the week is that apparently the Knights of the Old Republic remake has been stopped indefinitely. They are possibly going to be taking it away from Aspire.
Okay.
Because I think, was it the creative director and the artistic director or whatever were both fired. The project is really not making legway at all. So at the moment, there is absolutely no.
It's another Star Wars game not happening
when it's coming out. Like it could be a Star Wars 1313 thing where it's like they announced it. The shame would be that they announced it in a very like magnificent way at a PlayStation experience, and it kicked off the thing, and it was a big deal for like PS5 is getting the. So it really would look really bad if it never happens, because it wasn't just an article or a little quick trailer on YouTube. It was like a kind of it had the floor. So there's talks now of maybe Sony giving it to someone else to do, and just purely out of curiosity, if you were
I didn't know it was Sony actually heading it.
Well, or PlayStation or whoever, right?
Like, was it going to be a PlayStation exclusive?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was come to PS5 and PC.
See, I thought it was
just
one of those
not
things.
Xbox.
Yeah, well, at your own event, you wouldn't say it was coming to Xbox anyway.
No, but they did say that it was going to be exclusive.
It's like, and we're not coming to Xbox. They said
that's how they said it.
Right.
But just with that in mind, if they were to give it to, and I don't really know much of Aspire's work, but if they were to give it to another studio, who they think, you know what, maybe these are the guys to pull it off, right? And you can't pick BioWare. Who would be, do you think, the right studio to remake Knights of the Old Republic?
Any studio not within their studios?
You could pick any studio, but like maybe it makes more sense to pick one that is within their studios. Like, you know, if you picked Obsidian or something, it's like, well, that's not going to happen.
No.
But it's like, but someone else like, that might happen? I don't know. Who would you pick?
It would very much depend on the type of Star Wars
Bungie.
game I'm wanting.
Bungie, because they just got them.
Just give it to them.
That's an interesting choice, yeah. Yeah.
First person.
It doesn't have to be
No,
first person.
no, it doesn't have to be first. They can make other games.
Either Bungie or Guerrilla, I think, could handle it.
Oh, Guerrilla's a good shout. Guerrilla's a very interesting shout.
It's just, I'm just thinking about, like, you want to try to get it off the ground as quick as you can, and with the game engines that they have, like, okay, if you wanted it to be a bit more that there might be some sort of online connection with it, then perhaps Bungie, just because of the groundwork they've made there.
Yeah.
Or if you want it to be purely single player, you just, obviously you're changing up the way the gameplay works, but they have the Decima engine already. They could easily build kind of an RPG within that environment.
Yeah,
they have an RPG like elements already in Horizon anyway.
I mean, yeah, Guerrilla's good shout. I was kind of thinking Santa Monica.
Oh wow, yeah. Why?
I kind of think, to be honest, a slightly more gritty sort of Star Wars game would be cool.
But it is a remake of Knights of the Old Republic, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, just make it a bit gritty.
Okay.
I wouldn't exactly imagine that war was nice, like, so.
No, I know. I'd give it a sucker punch. I'd love to see what they do with it, especially the combat, because I remember playing Knights of the Old Republic, and I did not like the combat. I thought everything else was pretty solid. You can make choices, create a character, all that stuff. That stuff can carry over pretty well, I think. But the thing that I think in a remake, other than graphics, that need to be improved is the combat. And I'm just thinking about, it's like, well, if I'm holding a lightsaber, I'm thinking of those the sword combat of Ghost of Tsushima, but also just how incredibly well made that game was. And also they did have that, the online Ghost of Tsushima Legends worked incredibly well. So I think they're a very talented studio under PlayStation that could handle.
We all know it would just
project
be
of that
handled.
size.
It would be handed to Blend though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Or Blue Point.
Yeah.
Well, Blue Point actually be good.
It's like,
But
can we make our own game now? No, we have another remake for you to do.
Well, they probably are working on a remake. And to be honest, if I hear news that Blue Point are working on Knights of the Old Republic now, I'll be disappointed. Only because that'll mean they're not working on what I want them to work on.
Silent Hill.
Do you think I think they could be working on the Metal Gear Solid remake that was rumored.
I don't know.
They're working on a remake of Dino Crisis.
How is
also
no
kind
one
of cool though.
How has no one struck a deal with Konami yet to just snatch any of those IPs from them?
This will be a continuing topic on our podcast. Until
At this stage, I don't even give a
fucking
fuck if it's not PlayStation now. Just fucking anyone buy that shit.
It's sitting there. What are you doing? What are you doing?
You got Castlevania, you got Silent Hill, you got Metal Gear Solid. Grand.
Job done.
Job done.
Anyway,
games.
Now we'd love to hear from all you guys. If Knights of the Old Republic, the remake, was to be given to someone else, who would you want as a studio to make it? And who do you want to buy Konami? But also let us know your thoughts on GTA 6. Are you excited for it and the news that has come out about it? What do you hope to see from it and what area do you hope it's in? And what was your highlight of San Diego Comic-Con? It could very well be something we didn't mention, or it could be one of the many things that we did mention. So if you're watching this on YouTube, jump down to the comments to share your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this discussion, why not give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell for all our future content. If you guys listen to us on audio platforms, then you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on everything we brought up in this episode. Thank you very much for checking this out, and we'll be back to talk to you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.